Hey everybody, welcome back to Fake Nerds. Took a risk not filming this longer version of Fake Nerds, banking on a mid-gen upgrade announcement from Sony, and fortunately, that risk paid off. Sony has announced a PS5 Pro. The Pro will feature a larger CPU, improved performance, and AI-driven upscaling, known as PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR. Feel like technically it should be PSSSR. Like if we're gonna call it the PS5, just feel like we can't drop that other S when you don't want to use it. But that's not really important. What is important is it won't come with a disk drive, and also it's $699.99. Yeah, not super excited about that price. That's $100 more than a base PS5, $150 more than the base disk drive less model. I recognize that it isn't quite as expensive as a good PC. In my head, I kind of place those around at least like $1,000. But it's getting to the point where if you're a consumer, you're gonna say to yourself, "Hey, I already saved like $700. I may as well just save 300 more." I guess I just don't really see how this is gonna be successful. I mean, do you plan on buying the PS5 Pro? Personally, I don't. I love my PS5. Like, don't get me wrong, incredible console. But I just in the video they shared, kind of pitching this mid-gen upgrade, I just didn't necessarily see why someone would buy this. Unless like you're a PlayStation enthusiast who's also like gainfully employed and feels like they'll be gainfully employed for the long run, which I think, as you know, all of us know, these days that's not guaranteed. It's kind of coming out at a weird time. We're at this point where the graphics and like the gameplay upgrades of the Xbox One and PS4, those felt like a step above the 360 and PS3, which felt like a big step above the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. But the jump from the Xbox One to the Series X and S and the PS4 to the PS5 really doesn't seem super substantial. And if you disagree with that, just like recognize until recently, until like Astro came out, there haven't been like a ton of only PS5 games from Sony. You know, Call of Duty still comes out every year on last gen consoles. We're years into this generation, and while, it was stymied a bit by the fact that there was, a pandemic and people were out of work, they maybe couldn't afford to upgrade. Also, people who had jobs who maybe weren't like, I need every game at its best quality the day it comes out. They were like, I'm fine with this PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. I don't really feel the need to upgrade. And now for the PS, like maybe those people upgrade to this, but if they've held out this long, they might just, you know, either get a regular PS5 on sale or wait till PS6 and see if that is a big jump. I don't think there's going to be many people who already have a PS5, play it, enjoy it, who are looking at this going, "Oh yeah, I'm ready to spend $700 on another PlayStation." It just seems foolhardy to me to potentially, you know, ask consumers to buy this. And it really shows that Sony has no long-term, plans in having disc, drives, period, or having physical merchandise. It's going to move all digitally. Better for Sony. They make more money that way. They don't have to print games either, so it's more profitable in that way as well. But for people like me, one of the reasons I waited to get a PS5 to when I get, the disc drive version was because I don't know, there's just something nice about having these high quality Sony titles physically. And it's kind of sad to see that that's not going to be the case. I know they're like, well, you can just buy the external disk drive and maybe they'll continue that in the future, but I do think it's a harbinger of things to come. The PlayStation's just gonna, and probably the Xbox as well. I mean, look at the Series S; they already have it in a way. These machines are gonna be all download sooner than later. So, I guess, what are your thoughts on this PS5 Pro? I don't see the point of it. I know people are fairly vitriolic online about it right now, which is surprising to me because I'm kind of looking at it like this is dumb. This isn't going to be super successful for Sony, but they're also not going to stop making PlayStation 5 games. And I mean, at the end of the PS4, when The Last of Us 2 came out, I just played it on my base PS4 and it works great. And that's one of the games that they're using to promote the PS5 Pro. I hope that means that, Naughty Dog is working on a Last of Us 3 that will come out at the end of the generation. But if and when they do, I doubt very much that The Last of Us 3 is going to not be on the PS5. It might be the PS5's swan song, but I mean, look at it now. The PS4, as I said at the beginning of this episode, still gets games, and I think the PS5 will still get games. I mean, it's been tremendously successful. So, what are your thoughts on the PlayStation 5 Pro? Do you think it's kind of a waste? I personally do. But you know what? In fairness, when they announced the PS4 Pro, I can still remember listening to podcasts when that was announced way back in the day at like my first like adult job and being like, "This is the dumbest thing ever." And it worked out. There was a market for it, but it did not cost $700, and it did not. It didn't come out during a time where like a lot of people are either unemployed and looking for work or in fear of potentially being laid off. So it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Is Sony out of touch or am I out of touch? You let me know. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. I'm Brian. I'm a fake nerd, but this has been some real news.